Welcome back to Clash of Culture. We continue our 2023 college football series. We are excited to talk about the Florida State Clemson game this weekend. Not necessarily a top 25 game, but a very serious rivalry and a big game nonetheless. One of the biggest games in a very good weekend of college football. But before we get to college football, like always, we want to thank you guys for all the love and support. So if you made it this far, please press the like and subscribe button. Please click notifications. We are getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and at 1,000 subscribers, if you haven't heard, I will be giving away a signed Heisman football jersey. Again, more details to come soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't, please join our Discord. Lots of fun in there, lots of trash talking, and as we go through games, a lot of people talking in there. So please join our Discord. Fun environment just to talk college football. And if you're in the pick'em, you probably need to get your picks in for this week. If you haven't, I don't know if you can still join. Can you join? Can you?
I'm sure
late?
You can, but you're just late. Yeah, I think
you're gonna be behind. You're gonna lose anyway. So, but again, just another avenue for us to talk, love, and discuss college football. So, join the pick'em if you want to get down. Please tell a friend to bring a friend. We've been very stagnant in subscribers. So if you, like I said, if you're watching, please press that subscribe button. We're trying to get over that 1,000 so we can give this jersey away. Like I said, I know it's burning a hole. But with that being said, Steven, I know this has to be in your heart, your mind. I seen your lock screen. I know you locked in game week. This is a game that I think we've been talking about since the very beginning of our tuning towards college football. So what's your thought on Clemson and Florida State?
So, I mean, obviously this is going to be the biggest Florida State Clemson game since they had Jameis. Like, it's been a while, like 10 years or so, 9 years. Obviously, Clemson is 2-1 with the loss to Duke. But when you look at these teams on paper, when you look at, the stats, you can't tell me that, Florida State is a better team. I mean, they obviously have the better win over LSU. But if we're talking about stats,
okay.
Like stats, if we're talking about numbers, if we're talking about the talent on each roster, they're neck and neck. Obviously, we lost to Duke in a game that I don't believe we should have lost. But at the end of the day, the balls didn't bounce our way. But just a kind of fun fact, I don't think I told you this, but Clemson was 108-0 when they ran for 200 and passed for 200 yards, and they lost that game by 21 points. Yeah. So I don't think that is ever going to happen.
That was more of an anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, you fumbled 2 times. You fumbled 2 times on the goal line. You get a field goal block.
Indication of who Clemson is.
We didn't punt in the second half, and we didn't score in the second half. Like, how often does that happen? So, but enough about that game. I obviously did a video on that one. But the Florida State Clemson matchup, I'm obviously pulling for Clemson. We're going to be doing our final predictions on the live show in 2 days. On Friday. But I think, just like we said yesterday, I'm going to give my keys to victory for both teams. So I'll start off with Florida State. I think for Florida State's offense, it's getting Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell, Keon Coleman, getting big plays. Because I don't think you can beat Clemson without big plays. I just don't think that can happen. Obviously, in the Duke game, you saw Riley Leonard kind of break like for a 35-yard touchdown run. But again, in that game, it was an anomaly because, I mean, the game should have been a lot closer than it was. We had the scoop and score. The guy got into the red zone. So they kind of beat Clemson without any major big plays, but it was more so Clemson shooting themselves in the foot. I don't think that happens often. Clemson losing often without big plays. I mean, we see all the games against Alabama and how they looked, even LSU in the national championship game with Jamar Chase. So I think for Florida State, it's getting the ball to their big body receivers, their big tight end / athlete. And then defensively for them, I think if Florida State stops Phil Maffa and Will Shipley, Clemson doesn't have a chance to win. I think based on what we've seen so far, Garrett Riley has relied heavily on both running backs, not just Shipley. Shipley doesn't even have a rushing touchdown this year. Yeah. So he relies heavily on both of those running backs. So I think they have to slow both of them down. If they can do that, I don't see Cade Klubnik being able to just air it out. With the lack of weapons we've seen. We already lost a starting receiver for the rest of the year. Cole Turner, so he's gone. Obviously, Tyler Brown stepped up last week, so he's going to be probably in the rotation a lot more. But I think for Florida State, it's stopping the run, and then offensively, it's getting the ball to the receivers. Before I talk about Clemson, what is your keys to victory for Florida State?
So I think what Clemson is going to try to do is bring pressure and cause turnovers. So if I'm Florida State, it's really Jordan Travis protecting the ball, like we kind of talked about in the Ohio State video. Get the ball to playmakers on the perimeter. Two big 6'4", and then Johnny Wilson's
6'7".
like 6'7" receivers, right? I try to play a little rebound ball, a little push bodies up, jump ball, and really, then if it's not there, Jordan Travis, you either run or throw it away, but try to limit turnovers because I believe Clemson's key to the game is pressure. I think where they beat Florida State, where they are better than Florida State, is defense. I think they have a great linebacker core. So this is going to be probably, even to me, better than LSU, the best defense that Florida State will see this year. So really, it's about trying to create turnovers. And then on offense, for Clemson, it's trying to control the game with those running backs. I think I have concerns about the Clemson wide receiver room, and I've mentioned that. But where I think they're okay is in the running back room. I think you try to pound the ball. I think you try to, and I'm not saying take the ball out of Cade Klubnik's hands, but I think you try to put him in favorable situations when he does throw. Play actions. You want to limit third and longs. You want to put him in favorable positions when he does have to throw the ball. I think you're looking really for him for about a 200-yard game. You just want the threat of the pass to make them have to move people out of the box. But I'm looking at the running back room, and I'm saying, hey, we need 200 from you guys. We need 200 yards rushing from you guys. I want to control the clock. I want to keep the Florida State offense on the sideline. I want to keep Cade Klubnik out of bad situations because I want to run the ball. I want to beat Florida State in the trenches and not on the perimeter. And I think if you do that, Will Shipley is a guy who can break one. He's a game breaker guy, one of the biggest game breaker guys in this game. Outside of it, and again, no knock to Jordan Travis or those big receivers, but I want to keep those guys on the sideline. I think that's Clemson's biggest weapon on offense. And yeah, so I want to get the ball to him, and I don't want to put Cade in a position to have to win the game because I think that's when he may make a mistake.
So I'm going to give my Clemson keys to the game. I have three. I have one on offense, one on defense, and one just in general.
Okay.
So I'll start off the one in general. I think for Clemson, on their opening possession, they have to score. I think that, to me...
Are you just saying something?
3 or 7. Okay. 3 or 7. I think establishing the tone of we are successful on offense. You cannot go 3 and out. You can't have a turnover. They've been super wishy-washy even against the bad opponents this year. You have to be able to put a drive together. Like I said, even if it's get 3, the kicking has been terrible with the true freshman kicker. So if you can just go down and get 3 or 7, and I mean, even better, let's say they kick off first, they get a stop and then score. That's obviously even better. But I think that is the key. I think if Clemson goes 3 and out, it kind of already like puts it into the mind of, yes, it's going to be a long game because we've seen the first 3 games, obviously losing 28-7. And then even in the week 2 game, up 24-17 against Charleston Southern. And then even in week 3, this started a little bit slow. So I think when it comes to the overall key to the game, I think it's, getting points on the board and looking good on that first drive. Offensively, I'm going to say I don't think the key to the game is Shipley or Maffa because I think that's going to come natural. I think the key is going to be getting the ball to your young receivers and making them feel confident, making Cade feel confident in the throws. Because if you're starting the first drive and you hand it off 6 times, and even if you do move the ball down the field, then on the next drive when you need him to make a throw, he hasn't put anything, in the air yet. So I would say I would love a shot on the first play. Just take a shot on the first play, try to catch somebody off guard, maybe get a PI or something like that. But I think Clemson has always been good when they take deep shots down the field. I can't tell you a deep shot they've taken down the field this year. I have no recollection of it. There's no recollection. I think Bo Collins might have caught one, but it was like a post and he ran down. Like it wasn't even it wasn't a 50-yard in the air hang time kind of thing. So we need to get that going. So I think the key on offense is Cade Klubnik, get it to the young receivers, get it to his tight end, his young tight end. And then defensively, I think, like you said, it's pressure, but I also think we have one of the best rush defenses in the country. And if we can stop their running game, I feel extremely confident, like with Jordan Travis having to fling the ball all over, because I don't think that's Florida State's game. And I'm been on record saying that Nate Wiggins is not a good corner. Last year against, I think it was Wake Forest, he gave up like 3 touchdowns, like 200 yards. He's a first round grade this year. I expect him to lock one of those receivers up. I fully expect him to have a phenomenal game. And we are not a team that travels. Corners don't travel with Clemson.
Right.
So but again, Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman are, very good receivers in their own right.
Yeah.
Not as good as obviously the two we talked about yesterday with Harrison Jr. and Ibuka. But I think regardless of who he's lined up against, I feel comfortable with that matchup. I think our DB room is the best part of our defense outside of the linebacking core. But even that is saying something pretty crazy, because I think all levels of our defense has the argument to be the best in the country with how we've looked. So I think we just have to see. Obviously, they have to line up and play no matter what 4 or 5 stars you have. We saw against Duke. That didn't matter what you had on paper. So I'm very interested in this game. Obviously, like I said, I'm pulling for Clemson. I'm going to pull for them. But
now, what's the one part of this game to me that I think, because I think this is the first time in a long time that Clemson is going to play a game where all the national talking heads are down on them. Or like, I have not seen a or heard a person pick Clemson. And I don't know how Dabo is with motivation and
well, he's never really had to have a situation like this,
right?
Since,
So
this is being a title contender, obviously with Taj and like Cole Stout way back
where they were just starting.
Yeah, like when they were just now getting to that 10-win mark. Obviously, then you could like, oh, we're just little old Clemson. But when you make the playoffs 6 times in a row or whatever, this is like really their first adversity. I mean, obviously they've lost other, regular season games before, but this is the first time where they're an underdog at home, and they look terrible against obviously Duke, and as well as the second game.
Yeah, so I really, and I'm not going to say this is a key to a game, but this is something I'm looking to see. How does Clemson handle this? How does Clemson, because there's 1 of 2 ways, right? You're either going to come out extra motivated to prove the world wrong, or you're going to shrink in the moment. And like I said, because we haven't really seen it, we haven't really seen the Clemson, the underdog. Nobody believes in us. Nobody's picking us. We're at home against Florida State, a team that we've dominated, and nobody believes in us and is picking us. I want to see how them boys come out. Now, again, obviously a lot of motivation just for a rivalry game anyway, but when you're kind of being left for dead, just nobody's believing in Clemson. This is a team that's won 2 national championships in the last decade. I really want to see how they handle that, how Dabo comes out, motivates the team to go play a Florida State team that, and let me say this on the other side, Florida State has been little brother for a while, right? For about, since, like you said, since Jameis left. I believe they probably have some like, hey, we want to go out there and do to them what they've done to us. They've beat us, and I am sure that Norvell is in their locker room saying, yo, this is the team that is beat up on you guys for 8 years. Now at least, and I think you mentioned this, I think there were years where Clemson was just on paper, they were going to win this game. If you're Florida State, you got to feel like, man for man, if it's not even, we might be a little bit better. On paper, you have to feel like you have to go in with a level of confidence that you probably haven't had coming into this game in quite a while. Listen, if you guys know, I was at the Florida State Clemson game last year. And even as I'm in that crowd, I think people kind of, and again, this isn't a knock, this is just me being real. I think people everybody there kind of felt like Clemson is supposed to win. And if Florida State wins, that would have been like a rush the field moment. That would have been like oh my goodness, Florida State, it would have been an upset. It would have been legitimately an upset. I think this game really is almost the opposite. I think if Clemson won, it would be considered an upset. Now, and I know you said Clemson rushes the field in all games, but
every game they do it. Yeah,
but it
would definitely mean more. I mean,
that is a weird moment. That is a weird moment, and I think if you're Florida State, That's probably what you try to use to your advantage. Hey, these guys have beat up on us for 8 years, and this is our time to get some get back. This is going to be a heck of a game. And I think Cade and his confidence, like you mentioned, his confidence, his ability to do something in the pass game, or Florida State's ability to rattle him, is going to be the key to this game.
Yeah, I can't wait, obviously. But I am going to say this. I would not be surprised. Like I said, if Clemson wins big, I would not be surprised. I'm just going to put that out there now. Obviously, that's not my prediction. But I think, like you said, no one's picking them. And I think people are forgetting. Obviously, Clemson hasn't looked great this year. But I mean, I think people are forgetting like who Clemson is and what kind of program Dabo has built, the amount of talent that's on this team. So I'm just saying, don't be surprised if if they win big. I'm not going to act as if it's something I've never seen before. I'll just put it that way. But I mean, I hope it's a good game. Obviously, I hope we win 100-0. But as long as we win, I'll be happy.
So you hope it's not a good game?
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, the college football fan of me wants to see a good game, but I'm not going to be mad if we blow them out. But with all that being said, we'll talk more about it, obviously, on the live show on Friday. We have a lot of games to kind of cover that day. Again, if you guys are here still this late in the video, please do us a favor, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like it, as well as comment your kind of prediction for this video or for this game. I'm sorry. What is your take on it? What is the keys to victory for both teams that you guys feel? If you're a Florida State fan, let us know why you think your team's going to win. Clemson fans, let us know why you think we're going to win. But we will see you guys on Friday at the live show. Tomorrow, we're going to be posting the Colorado versus Oregon preview. So please come back and check that one out. But we will see you guys then. Peace out.